When it comes to Susie searches, in some ways you could see there could have been good potential, but because it let you in on a film secret way too early, it pretty much loses any type of luster it could have had. To summarize the film, Susie, since she was a child, has loved mysteries, especially because it was part of her routine of her mom reading her a mystery at night. But after some point, Susie began having the ability to start predicting the endings, and with that, slowly but surely, the idea of becoming a famous detective got pushed by her mom and got accepted to the point of her starting a podcast in order to potentially drum up interest and build up a brand. Unfortunately, as she's doing this, her mom gets MS. She's stuck at a dead-end part-time job and has to do school really part-time in order to take care of her mom because her dad's not around. In like many situations that we see a kid with a parent with MS or anything like that, there's no parent siblings, grandparents, cousins, or anything like that to help. It's all on their only child. So with that in mind, Susie realizes that the pressure's on and she decides to kidnap a kid named Jason. Not Jason, Jesse. Now, you may think that's a major spoiler, but within the first quarter, 20, 30 minutes, it's pretty clear what she did. So you, unfortunately, are let in on what she did and pretty much watch the rest of the movie just wondering to yourself, who's going to catch her? Why are they going to catch her? And can she potentially figure out a way to not end up in jail? So when it comes to the review section for Susie Searches, it's two on the fence topics. And the first one is just, I feel like when it comes to Susie Searches, because we're let in early on that Susie is the kidnapper, it makes it so that you need strong supporting characters regarding somebody potentially figuring out what she did. And unfortunately, we don't get that. Jesse and the rest are not necessarily generic characters, but they certainly don't provide something for Susie to play off of, or even really present a real challenge to her. They are just small town people who, again, not stereotypical, they're not portrayed to be dumb or anything like that, but they're not made to stand out in a way that makes you want to take note of them and make you really analyze Susie in terms of what she may or may not have done to possibly trip up and potentially get caught. And because of that, as much as you may appreciate Susie, especially as she kind of breaks down the ways that people in her position usually do get caught, because nobody seems capable of really catching on to any mistakes she may make, you don't really get to be fully engaged with the film. And I would even add in as a second on the fence topic, when it comes to the people who aren't necessarily central to the whole mystery of who kidnapped Jesse, they're not really utilized in a way that makes you have something to cling on to if it's not this whole mystery thing. When it comes to Jesse's co-worker, who's played by Rachel Sennott, who you know from Bottoms and Bodies, 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 she plays a very basic version of the character she usually does in terms of somebody who's sassy with an attitude, and she doesn't get the one-liners or the memorable moments. She's just a very dull imitation of what she can do in the general sense. And then there's this other person who seems to be either Susie's best friend or maybe some guy that has a crush on her, but as the mystery and the Jesse thing ramps up, he's pretty much forgotten about and written off. And granted, would having a love interest really have helped her? Probably not. But having him as a friend who may potentially catch what she's doing and challenge her in some ways, even if it's just in a moral way, that could have been something. That could have been what Susie needed in order to make the character feel a little bit more complicated, since while you understand that part of the reason for her doing all this was her mom so that she can get famous and perhaps enough money to get a nurse for her, her mom disappears after the beginning of the movie, and that whole mom has MS thing kind of disappears and is no longer a factor. So with that in mind, Susie Searches has the potential throughout the whole movie to really give us something more, especially after taking away the mystery of who kidnapped Jesse. But unfortunately, while you see various means and methods it could have helped support Susie, both the actress who plays her and Susie the character, it doesn't take advantage of a single one, and it's just disappointing. Overall, when it comes to Susie Searches, it's just a lot of missed opportunities, and it begins with just telling us that Susie was the kidnapper. And from there, you see more and more missed opportunities or blunders to the point where it's just hard to not be disappointed, dissatisfied, and just ultimately feel like as the movie goes on, this is just boring, and the only reason to finish is because you've already paid to rent or buy it.